Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to show you how to make a simple cap sleeve top on your LK150. I'm going to be doing this pattern that I wrote in a size medium because I basically wrote it for my size and I do not know how to grade patterns yet for other sizes, so I do not have the pattern available, but you could kind of, based off of the way that I make it, kind of tweak it to your measurements. So I had been seeing so many cute knitted cap sleeve tops and it really inspired me to write a pattern for just like a simple but like super cute top on the knitting machine. I also wanted to show you I have made a couple of these tops. This one has a bit wider of a neckline. I haven't connected the sleeves on yet. And then I have been doing one very similar to this brown one, but this one is in blue. And on this one, I have ribbing at the bottom of the cap sleeve, so it kind of keeps it flat. Whereas on this one, I didn't do any ribbing. All right, so this is the pattern that I wrote, and my gauge, as you can see, is 4 stitches per inch and 6 rows for 1 inch. I've got my tension dial at 9 and my tension mass is at 13. I've got it best fit for a size medium. So we're gonna have a front and back panel that are gonna be shaped like this. And we're basically gonna knit up, do a few increases here, then your decreases. And we're gonna have ribbing on the bottom and the top. My camera will not focus. Then we are gonna do, 2 of those, and then we have 2 cap sleeve pieces. Which will be shaped like this. Ribbing and ribbing. Let's begin. I am going to be using this superwash merino from Swish Yarn. I bought it on knitpicks.com, and I will say this yarn is a little less thick than the yarn I used to make the top that I'm wearing, but I would say they're pretty close in weight, so we're just gonna follow the pattern as is. I don't want to adjust the pattern right now, but so I made this top. This top is 100% acrylic and this one is superwash wool, so I wanted to kind of try a different material, but sometimes it's nice to just use an acrylic yarn because you can just throw it in the washer and dryer and nothing happens to it. The first step in the pattern for a size medium is I'm going to actually knit a few rows with waste yarn and E-wrap cast on 26 left and 26 right needles. 23, 6, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am casting on with waste yarn and my tension dial should be at 8. So cast on with your waste yarn. Hang your weights, which I like to get that last one on, and then drop it like that. Pull your other needles forward to 26, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Love to double check. And let's just knit across. Knit a few rows. And I like to add my claw weights just on the corners. switch to my main yarn. All right, so pull all those needles forward after you finish your waist yarn and E-wrap with your main yarn. All right, we're just gonna knit 4 rows. Make sure your levers are right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I definitely forgot to reset my row counter, so I'm going to set it to 4. Now I'm going to pick every 3rd needle and pull it out. We're going to do the ribbing. All right, after you've pulled out your needles for your ribbing, pull back and drop that stitch down. You want to stick your latch hook tool in the E-wrap that we did. Drop it down, capture the E-wrap. Sometimes so there I've got the E-wrap, and then I just latch it back up and pop it back on the needle. And this will create the, pearl bump on either side. Now, if you do go all the way down like I just undid the E-wrap, you take your tool, face it down, grab that, and just turn it to the right, and your E-wrap is back. Back on. Now that we have done our 4 rows of ribbing, we are going to knit straight up for 40 rows until your row counter gets to 44. So once you have done your 40 rows, we are going to begin our increases. Grab your transfer tool that has the single prong, and we are going to increase 1 stitch each side and then knit 4 rows. Pull out a needle, move the stitch, and then grab the purl bump and put that like that. Once your row counter is to 60 and you're done with your increases, knit 2, gets your row counter to 62. Now we begin our decreases, and for the decreases you're going to need your 3-prong transfer tool, and has the 1 on the other side. So this is where we are going to do the eyelets here. So on this example here, you can see we just did our increases for the bust, and now we start decreasing. And you can see we have these eyelets. That's what we're gonna do right now. So we're gonna do a fully fashioned decrease. Use the 3-prong end, grab 3 stitches. I just put that one back that's not in use. Move them over 1. And then the 3rd stitch, you're going to grab both of those loops, move it over 1, and put that needle out of work. Then do the same thing to the other side. There's a little gap there, and I put that needle out of work on both sides. Then you knit 1 across, put those needles back into work and knit another across. So you can see it created an eyelet. I'm going to show you how to do that eyelet one more time. Do it on the other side. It's going to be mirrored on the other side. Knit one. Pull the other needles forward. Knit two. We want to do this until we have, let's see, until we have 14 needles on the left in work and 14 needles on the right. All right, so I finished the decreases, as you can see with the eyelets. So basically I did the decreases and then I forgot to show this on camera, but you decrease one more, so you'll have 15 on either side, and then you decrease each side, just doing a full fashion decrease. You don't do the eyelet, and then you just knit one. Your row counter will be at 93. So now we are going to do the ribbing at the top of the neckline. Pull every third needle forward. Grab a tapestry needle, catch the last stitch so that when we do our ribbing, it doesn't unravel all the way down, because if I was to just pull these needles back and start doing the ribbing, that whole row would unravel. So these needles that I've pulled forward, I'm just going to thread my tapestry needle through those stitches. This is just adding a lifeline. Now put these needles back into working position, position B. Oh, I just accidentally dropped that stitch, but that's okay, because it has a lifeline. And now we're gonna knit 4 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we pull every third needle forward again. And push them back, which drops the stitch off. Pull on our work. To bind this off, I'm going to do a stretchy bind off. So I'm going to remove my yarn from the carriage, and I'm going to basically get 3 times the width of yarn and then cut it. So just go like 1, 2, 3 approximately. Sometimes I give it a little more just in case. You're gonna grab your tapestry needle again, thread it, and there are YouTube tutorials on this bind off. I will zoom in and try to explain it as best as I can. I like to pull the needles forward just a bit. Okay. And I don't know how to explain it, so just watch what I do. go behind your work, go in the second needle over, pull it through, then go from the front, go through the first, and then through the back of like the third. And I'm talking like from the end. So it's weird. It's like, then you're gonna go into the one here and go through the third one over from that one. So you're basically, it's really hard to explain, but once you get it. So now I go this one on my left through the third, and then whatever one you come out of, you go back into the one next to it. When you get to the end, I grab my latch hook tool. Oops. And I basically go in the last stitch and then just basically kind of crochet it off. Pull it off, give it a little tighten. And then you can see how stretchy that is. Alright, so I just finished the decreases and my row counter is at 26 and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 needles in work on either side. So I'm gonna do one more decrease, but I'm not gonna do the eyelet. So do one more decrease so that we have 8 needles in work on either side. Oops, just hit the camera with that. And add a lifeline because we're going to do our ribbing. Alrighty, push those back into working position. And then we're going to knit 4 rows. And your row counter should end on 30. Pull every third needle forward, push them back, and do the ribbing. And here is our cap sleeve. Okay, so now that we have our front panel here, which you can kind of see if I stretch it across, what it's gonna look like. I actually really like this yarn, and I have one panel of the front done, and then I have one cap sleeve done. So I'm gonna do another cap sleeve and another panel, and then I will show you how we're going to join them. Now I'm just pinning the cap sleeve together, you take the short end, so it's like a weird trapezoidal shape, clip the short end at the top, and I will show you how to do that with this other cap sleeve on before I join it. So basically you have the top here of the ribbing that we did on the front and back panel, and you line it up, take the short end here, that's the end that goes up at your neck, and I like to pin it, just get it in place for seaming. And you can also line up the eyelets. So I will just put a couple of pins in place, and I will show you how I link it together. And then I turn it inside out before I use it on my linking machine. So however you're going to be joining the panels, you can join them with a slip stitch using a crochet hook, or use a tapestry needle, however you like to join together. I have a Hague linking machine that I will be using. I figured I would show you guys what it looks like pinned on, and I have it inside out because I'm about to seam it together, but just so you can kind of get an idea. So yes, it is inside out, but you can see how the cap sleeve, the short part is up here and it goes out, and then we're just gonna make these seams here down across the armpits on the front and the back. This is my Hague linking machine. It is an electric one. I ordered it from the Hague website, and it comes from somewhere in the United Kingdom. But this is such a game changer, especially if you are prototyping and trying to come up with the designs. You don't want to spend forever seaming a garment by hand. At least I find this very beneficial for me to have, because it just saves so much time. So yeah, highly recommend this, and this is how I'm going to be seaming my panels together. So I'm going to start by seaming the bottom. The work, you put the right side facing you, and then for the next panel you basically put the right sides together on the machine. You just make sure, I like to make sure my edges at the bottom are going to be good, and I try to just add the last stitch on there. And then I'll start adding on the other panel. Kind of rotate the machine, and then I take the stitch markers out as I go. And we're only going up until we see the eyelets. Stop it like the stitch before. It has a little foot pedal down here that I'm going to use to adjust the speed and everything. And you want to make sure that you start you basically want your work to be on like the first tooth before the needle. So I just hold this tail, and then we'll just go. And there is a rod that sits in here, and you can put your yarn on it. But I find that sometimes when I do that, the yarn will get wrapped around it, and it'll kind of like, the tension won't be right, and then I'll miss stitches. And I'm done seaming, but I go a little bit past so that I have a tail to weave in. So as I pull off the work, you can see the chain stitch that it's made. Looks like it all looks pretty good. And I'm just gonna finish off by using a crochet hook. So I'll pull this down, grab my crochet hook, get down to like the last one closest to the work. And I like to usually do one or two. You can see the eyelets on either side. For seaming the cap sleeves on, you want to make sure that you get it exactly right with which stitches you're supposed to put in the seam, because we want it to look like this. So we basically have two, good Lord, we have two stitches, and you have to be sure that you're seaming the right one so that we get that clean look with the two rows. When you start looking at it, you'll see what I'm talking about. You just want to make sure that when it's lined up, you need to look at your work and see, okay, these are the two rows of stitches that are going to be on facing the front. So be sure that when you seam, it's kind of like on the side, like the stitch you're going to be seaming is kind of on the side. I'll show you what I'm talking about when I put it on my linker. Here, this is the front panel, and this is the top. The eyelets, see how this is the right side of the work, and you see this row of stitches coming down. If you slightly turn your work to the side, you can see that there's another row of stitches. You're going to want to seam this row because you want the V's here that are facing the front to be on the front, and this row of stitches is going to line up with the row of stitches on the cap sleeve. So so you're going to want to line them up to where though the rows meet up. So on this one, it's this is the back of the cap sleeve. This row here needs to be facing the front. And then that is what you're going to seam, the side there. I have to really make sure that I am only getting, it's kind of a good visual that you can see on here. So you can see this is the row of stitches here that's going to face the front. Let me zoom in. Alright, so you can see how I'm putting it on for seaming, but I'm making sure that, see the V's here? That's the one that's going to be facing the front. Sometimes it's a bit tricky, but just make sure that you've always got a complete stitch going across here. And I will go ahead and start lining up the cap sleeve. For this one, you can see the V's as well, but you're seeing the back side of them. And just make sure that you're lining up the eyelets too as best as you can. So you can see that's looking pretty nice. But I will make an emphasis on the neckline part. You want to make sure that you get this exactly right, or it's going to have like a little bump, or it's not going to be exactly lined up, and you're going to be able to tell that it wasn't knit all in one piece. If we look at it from the right side, you can see that we have the two rows lined up nicely. Our perfect little cap sleeve is now attached. All right, this is what the top is looking so far with one sleeve attached. I'm just gonna seam up the other sides and I will show you the finished product. Hey everybody, so I'm wearing the finished top and it is like 4 months later. I never got a clip of when I finished it, like immediately after, and I haven't gotten around to editing the video until now. I decided to go back to school and I'm actually studying fibers, so I've been very busy with that and work to get this video out. But I basically ruined the top. It does not look good. It's way too tiny. It basically went through the washing machine and dryer multiple times without my knowledge, and just the wool in it has just like matted up and it's really tiny and it looks terrible. But regardless of that, I would reference the brown top that I'm wearing in the video because that is what it should look like. This one got screwed up. It was looking good when I tried it on, you know, before I had finished the sleeve on the previous clip. But yeah, so anyway, just wanted to explain that. And yeah, but I hope that the video was helpful, and it's sort of a loose pattern to kind of show you the construction of making a top like this. I have been writing a pattern and working on multiple sizes. I am still learning how to grade and the pattern is in the works. But yeah, right now that video is hopefully just helping you guys out to make a cap sleeve top. And not like this. It should not look like this.